Hello, everyone. This is the Free American Press with your host, Alexander Horat. And today we're joined with my mother, Maria Horat, and we're going to be discussing some pretty important topics. And that is the proposed $2,000 stimulus check and also the 50-year mortgage that may be coming out soon. So I would just like to talk to my mom about this 50-year mortgage first. At first glance, it seems like it's just going to be an extra length to debt slavery. We're just going to see people in debt for many more years. I want to get your thoughts on this, Mom, on this 50-year stimulus check. If you enjoy our content and want to keep seeing amazing guests and insightful conversations, please like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can contribute through Zelle or Venmo. Every little bit helps me continue bringing you interesting guests and great content. Thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, so basically the plan is to possibly extend the mortgages from give that possibility to home buyers from 30 to 50 years. And that what that's going to do is just extend the time that they will have to pay the mortgage off. And at first glance, it does seem like a good incentive for those who can't afford a home otherwise. But according to some economists and some people who have been looking at these, one analysis says that extending repayment from 30 to 50 years only modestly lowers the monthly payments, but drastically increases the total interest paid. For example, one housing economist calculated that the total interest on a 50-year loan could be 86% more than a 30-year mortgage. So that's quite substantial. So basically, people will be looking into paying about 86% more in interest for a house than a 30-year mortgage. Another example for a 500,000 loan, switching to 50 years might only reduce the monthly payment by $80 a month. And after 30 years, the home buyer will still owe $387,000. So the person ends up paying more interest and build equity a lot slower and stays in debt much longer. But another impact of this, of course, that we see is that first, particularly for the lower home prices, the lower home price homes, that is going to increase the demand for buying these houses because they're going to have that 50-year loan incentive, and that's just going to just further increase home prices. We have seen that happening throughout the last 20, 30 years, where housing prices have increased as drastically due to the fact that there is being so many incentives for low interest rates, and it has mortgages have went from 10 to 15 years to 30 years, and now they're talking about increasing it another 50 years. So that's just going to cause more inflation in prices in homes and just a hyperinflation in general.
I definitely agree, and I think it's also important to note, are these loans going to be coming from the federal government, like an FHA loan, or are they
Mhm.
going to be conventional loan by a bank? Because I think it's really important to see who's holding these loans, because assuming the 50-year mortgage is what people are going to get, those are probably going to be the people who couldn't get the 30-year mortgage and who are at a lot more risk to these borrowing agencies. So I think that could be a big disaster unfolding just there alone.
Yeah, and according to this article, the administration is considering backing such loans via government mortgage finance firms to boost affordability.
Yeah.
So definitely the government again is involved, and we see what the overprinting of US dollars have done to the economy. The quantitative easing has no help in the long term. It won't help the economy. We're seeing people cannot afford to buy houses today. They cannot barely afford to buy food and other services. So I see these as just fueling just more prices.
Yeah, and I find it kind of scary that according to what you read, this is going to be government-backed loans because 50 years from now, where do we see the US dollar? It's definitely not going to be as strong as it is now. It's probably going to be paper weak. So it's a good argument that some people may have is these people getting these 50-year loans, even though their interest is very high, it's still a great deal from how much the U.S. dollar is going to deplete just by their average uh, loss of the U.S. dollar is like 2 or 3% each year. It'll still over 50 years. That's a massive amount to lose value in the dollar. So then the government's got to be holding the bag on all these loans, on all these houses, and basically not getting the repayment that it needed, pushing us further into debt, in the United States economy. So that I think is pretty scary.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of these big corporations might also take advantage of these, right? And just purchase homes on 50-year loans, cheaper than they would in a 30-year loans, and then just further increase the home prices. And that's not helping the average American. All these, very soon people won't be able to afford anything, that alone homes.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So let's talk about this $2,000 check. So we see the president has recently announced that he wants to give everyone a $2,000 stimulus check, basically based off money from the tariffs. The money that we're getting from the tariffs, he's going to give us $2,000 check. So I just want to get your thoughts on that.
What I don't understand about that too is that the president's stating that this is going to help pay off the debt, and I don't know how that's going to happen. Many economists point out that the amount to be paid out will actually run into hundreds of billions of dollars. So while the tariff revenues are quite a bit smaller than the money that the president is talking about giving to everyone except the high income earners. So, for example, one article notes that tariff revenue might only cover a fraction of the $300 billion cost of paying $2,000 to every American. So what this means is that there's going to be likely to increase federal reserve, federal deficit, unless offsets by spending cuts or increasing taxes in order to cover that difference, because a larger deficit means more borrowing, which can push interest rates higher in the future, possibly. But what I see is that the revenue that we're supposed to be getting for tariffs are not going to cover these payments that he wants to give everyone, this dividend that he wants to pay everyone. So where is the rest of the money going to come from? Is it going to come from higher taxes? Is it going to come from other government spending that he wants to cut? So there's a lot of questions that should be answered before this gets implemented. And the other economic concern, of course, that this will cost, just like the 50-year mortgage, is just going to push the inflationary trend, and it's going to weaken the dollar even further. And we see that evidence in the metals, right? Like gold and silver today are higher again. I mean, prices, there was a little bit of a pullback at the end of October, but it looks like now prices are going up again.
Yeah, it's definitely true. I'm gonna get it on the screen to show gold and silver prices so everybody can see. So we see gold is at $4,144, 11% increase, and silver's at almost $52, a 1.41% increase. So we see that going on right now. But what I really think this stimulus check is all about is to put us on a UBI, a universal basic income, and make us totally dependent on the government. So by giving these $2,000 stimulus checks, you're taking it from taxes. You took it from us. You know how for every dollar the government gets, they give back like 10 cents or something. So there's so much waste with the government. They get through the taxes, which the tariffs are taxed on you and I and everybody. So we're taxed, and we're gonna get a stimulus check back from the government. Basically, the government takes your money and gives you a little bit back. So they're basically in control of everything. So that's just a big step towards the universal basic income, and I think they want to implement this before 2030. Got to have us on a universal basic income, and basically by your actions, if you do good things or bad things according to the government, that'll affect if you get paid or not, and what you do on social media. And basically, it's a social credit system. They want to make an outdoor prison, and basically want to be check at every point of purchase, have the digital ID to check all your purchases, and basically just to make everything government surveillance state.
Yeah, basically, when you start tying all the ends of this structure that we see that they are putting together, And when we know what's really going on to a large extent behind the scenes, we know that there's a 2030 UN agenda. We know that there is this whole push towards UBI, like you said, universal basic income. We know that they passed the Stable Coins Act just a few months ago, right? So we know they're pushing the digital ID, which is all part of that. So we see that there's definitely a whole structure, a whole financial grid built around this control system of control that they want to impose on everyone.
I definitely agree with you there. So, is there anything else you'd like to add to this video, Mom, before we end it?
No, I think that's pretty much it. There's definitely nothing has changed. They still want to consistently make the same errors, and that is to inject more money into the system. So the dollar further devaluates, and everything, the cost of everything increases. It might be political expedient what they're talking about, giving $2,000 to everybody. That in the very, very short term help, but that will be short outlived once they realize that the money is not going to. The value of the dollar is just going to decrease, and there's not going to be enough money for anybody to afford anything that alone homes.
It's definitely a short plan to make it all Americans happy. Oh, I get a $2,000 stimulus check, but then I paid $10,000 in taxes for the stimulus check. So I think it's definitely a sick system. I think they definitely want more government control over you and I. And I think this universal basic income is a bad step forward. And this 50-year mortgage thing is pretty scary as well. So I'd just like to thank my mom for making this video with me. And I would just like to thank everyone for watching. If you could please subscribe to the channel and comment and tell us your opinions on this, that would be great. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.
Thank you, Alex.